This is the story of one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, a man who terrified women across the country with his cunning, charm, and brutality. But Ted Bundy wasn't always successful. In fact, he made a number of mistakes that ultimately led to his downfall. Join us as we explore what they were and how they led to the end of Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was many things: charismatic, intelligent, manipulative. But perhaps his most fatal flaw was his hubris. He believed himself to be smarter than the police, and perhaps he was. For a time, Bundy managed to evade authorities, confounding them with his seemingly perfect crimes. But as his body count rose, so did his arrogance. This eventually led to missteps that would seal his fate. In this video, we'll examine some of the biggest blunders that brought an end to Ted Bundy's reign of terror. As always, viewer discretion is advised for this chilling journey into the mind of a monster. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Before his capture, Ted Bundy had managed to fool the police for years, evading their every trap and confusing them with false leads. But it was his own arrogance that would finally trip him up. Bundy was convinced that he was smarter than the police, and in a sense he was. But this belief blinded him to his own weaknesses. By the time authorities closed in on him, Bundy's confidence had become his undoing. One of the first and most obvious mistakes Bundy made was his choice of victims. While he targeted young women who fit a certain type, this predictability made him vulnerable to being tracked down by investigators. By focusing on a particular kind of victim, Bundy essentially gave the police a profile of the kind of man who would abduct them. This proved to be a fatal error when investigators began to piece together a picture of the killer based on the similarities among the cases. Another critical mistake Bundy made was underestimating the tenacity of the police. Believing himself to be cleverer than law enforcement, he failed to consider their determination to catch him. This misjudgment led to his eventual capture as Bundy became increasingly confident and careless with his actions. He also underestimated the power of eyewitness testimony. Although he took great pains to avoid being seen by witnesses, several people managed to get a glimpse of him with his victims or at the crime scenes. These testimonies, while often overlooked initially, proved crucial in linking Bundy to the murders. Ted Bundy's apparent confidence in his own abilities was a major factor in his downfall. He seemed to believe he could outsmart the police every time, but this assumption led him to make risky choices that ultimately led to his capture. Bundy's overconfidence allowed him to rationalize his actions, leading him to engage in behaviors that otherwise might have seemed too dangerous to undertake. This lack of caution is perhaps best exemplified by his decision to keep mementos from his victims, an action that provided authorities with tangible evidence that directly linked him to the crimes. Ted Bundy's charisma and good looks were undoubtedly assets in his early years of crime, allowing him to deceive potential victims and even investigators. However, this same charm became a critical error when it lulled him into a false sense of security. Bundy's confidence in his ability to manipulate others led him to underestimate the impact of his actions, both on his victims and on those trying to catch him. One of the most significant errors Bundy made was failing to take proper care of his victims after incapacitating them. Unlike some serial killers, Bundy did not immediately kill his victims, but instead kept them alive for days, subjecting them to horrific abuse. This choice not only demonstrated a disturbing level of sadism, but also led to mistakes. One such slip-up was leaving one of his victims, Carol Duranko, alive after intending to kill her. This decision would later prove instrumental in Bundy's capture, as Darnell managed to escape and provide a crucial description of her attacker. Perhaps the most glaring of Bundy's blunders was his decision to kidnap, assault, and murder a young woman named Karen Sparks in the city of Aspen, Colorado, far from his usual hunting ground. This choice led to his presence in a new location, providing authorities with an opportunity to connect him to the string of similar crimes taking place there. The long-distance crime spree can be viewed as a turning point in Bundy's behavior, a critical error in judgment that increased the chances of his eventual detection and capture. Ted Bundy's decision to travel with his Volkswagen Beetle, while convenient for him, provided authorities with an invaluable lead. The specific model and color of the car became a critical piece of information in the investigation as witnesses began to report seeing a similar vehicle in the vicinity of the crime scenes. This detail allowed law enforcement to focus their search on a particular kind of vehicle, increasing the likelihood of finding evidence related to the crimes. The mundane aspect of the car is a stark reminder that even the most insignificant details can play a crucial role in solving a crime. Despite his meticulous planning and cunning, Ted Bundy made a critical error in judgment that led to his final capture. In an effort to dispose of evidence, he attempted to set fire to one of his vehicles. However, this action proved to be his undoing as the fire drew attention and raised suspicion. The incident not only led to increased police scrutiny in the area, but also provided an opportunity to analyze the remnants of the burnt vehicle, potentially leading to the discovery of crucial evidence linking Bundy to the crimes. This impulsive decision demonstrates that even the most controlled and calculated individuals can make mistakes under pressure. During his reign of terror, Ted Bundy left behind bite marks on several of his victims, assuming that these would be overlooked in the chaos of his crimes. However, this proved to be a critical error in judgment. Bite mark evidence, while not always reliable, can be a powerful tool in linking a suspect to a crime scene. And in Bundy's case, the unique characteristics of his teeth provided a direct link to the crime scene. As dental technology advanced, the bite marks became increasingly difficult for Bundy to escape, eventually playing a pivotal role in his conviction. While Ted Bundy was known for his meticulous planning and ability to evade the police, he made a critical error during one of his daring prison escapes. By attempting to flee across the country, Bundy not only put himself in harm's way, but also left behind clues that led to his recapture. His haste in leaving Colorado for Chicago and the tools used in the escape attempt provided law enforcement with valuable leads that ultimately resulted in his apprehension. This impulsive decision demonstrates that even the most cunning criminals are susceptible to making mistakes when under pressure. Ted Bundy's criminal career was marked by a series of blunders that allowed law enforcement to track him down, despite his efforts to evade capture. One of the most notable of these missteps occurred when he was pulled over by police for speeding in Colorado. During the traffic stop, Bundy's behavior and the contents of his car raised suspicion, leading the officer to ask for backup. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Bundy made a critical error in judgment by becoming aggressive and attempting to flee. This impulsive action escalated the situation, providing authorities with probable cause to search his vehicle, where they discovered crucial evidence linking him to the ongoing investigation. Bundy's decision to resist during the traffic stop can be seen as a turning point in his capture, a critical error that led to his eventual downfall. Ted Bundy's capture was the result of numerous factors, but his own arrogance and mistakes played a critical role. He underestimated the tenacity of law enforcement and the public's determination to see him brought to justice. Bundy's overconfidence allowed him to rationalize his actions, leading him to engage in behaviors that might have otherwise seemed too risky. His failure to properly dispose of evidence, such as the remnants of his burnt vehicle, further contributed to his capture. Additionally, Bundy's decision to travel to a new location for a crime spree, coupled with his distinctive choice of victim, led authorities to focus their search in a more precise area. Furthermore, Bundy's thoughtlessness in leaving behind personal belongings at a crime scene provided investigators with an invaluable link to the perpetrator. Finally, his decision to flee the country rather than standing trial, demonstrated his guilt and provided authorities with a clear objective. In essence, Ted Bundy's capture was a testament to the cumulative effect of his own mistakes, which ultimately outweighed his intelligence and cunning. In conclusion, Ted Bundy's story serves as a reminder that even the most cunning and charismatic individuals are susceptible to making mistakes. Bundy's hubris and overconfidence in his abilities led him to underestimate the tenacity of law enforcement and the public's determination to bring him to justice. His failure to learn from previous mistakes and adapt his behavior ultimately led to his capture and subsequent conviction. Bundy's blunders provide valuable lessons for both law enforcement and society at large, emphasizing the importance of attention to detail, thoroughness, and the recognition of patterns in the face of complex crimes. What do you think about Bundy's mistakes? Did you find his hubris and arrogance fascinating or off-putting? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful psychology videos. Thanks for watching.